Hello, welcome to today's video log. My name is Adam. If you're coming in for the first time, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, you get all my videos, and if you make that bell ring, you'll get notified when I do go live. Currently, I'm doing a video log for a year, so every day I upload a video, and we just chat about what's happening today. So I'm going to be at the cinema today, but I do have a lot of projects that I need finishing off. So I've got like 3 projects I'm in the at the moment I'm working on. I'm working on, of course, another book. I'm writing for the adventure book series. We're going to read this in a moment. This is one of my previous books, the Escape from the Crypt book. One of the first books that was published. Or written, rather. It was the first book that was written. So I've got to finish off another, continue writing a book for that series. I've got to do a flight today for a commercial pilot license. So, I mean, I've already gained the license. I just haven't flown I haven't created the video that I need to for the virtual pilot school. That's coming out at the end of this month. So there's a few more videos I need to do for that. And as well as that, I need to actually, finish the career mode. I'm compiling a lot of information about this virtual pilot life program, so I need to finish off a lot of that. So there's a lot to do today. Plus, somebody's coming today at 10 o'clock to pick up some books. So I gotta get going, really, basically. So, yeah, today we're going to crack on. We're going to read some of this. I've been reading, sort of going through all my books and reading little extracts from them. And you can find them all on Amazon, but we're leading up to the big one, which will probably be at Halloween. So let's read this. Now, all my books, when you first open them, there is, like, after you get all the boring, published bit, there is a free book available that if you go to my website, adamjpestridge.com, you can pick up a free book. Now, this book is a digital PDF book. And it's basically describes that the world that all my books are set in. It's like an encyclopedia atlas. It's got maps inside. It's got historic locations. It's even got a timeline of events. And it basically describes everything. So this one came out December, I think it was, or early 2018, late 2017. My grandmother had just passed in 2017. I dedicated this book to her. My grandma was a guiding rock in my life. My grandma knew exactly what she wanted and how to get it. And my grandma had a very high level of living and a lot of expectations as well for those around her to live in the same manner. She was a wonderful person, and she served as a land girl, and she was the last land girl to pass as well. She even got congratulated from the Prime Minister. So, in all my books, there's like an introduction. Now, these basically explain the rules, because in my books, you play as the main person you read about in the story. You are the hero of this adventure. You have to make the decisions, on which way you're going to go, who you're going to fight and talk to, basically everything. You make the decision if you live or die. So, of course, there are rules. There is a battle system. We're not going to go through any of that, although one day I will. We're going to get straight into it, and you get a background story with every book, so you sort of sets up the story, you know where you are, and then as soon as you jump in to the first paragraph, you have to make decisions on which way you're going to go. So let's start. For hundreds, if not thousands of years, there has been a cloud over the land of Atenia. Many people have disappeared, never to be found again. Many villages between Port Fern and the King's Keep have been ransacked and their gold stolen by attacking ogres and trolls. It seems almost as if a war has been raging over the decades. Every full moon, there seems to be a higher than normal activity happening that the local people have just learned to deal with. Burning houses, dying individuals, and cloudy days. No one ever goes out after dark during the full moons, and those that do are never seen again. Many a story in the taverns are told by the drunks who swig their ale and tell tales of flying people. Over the years, the land has been torn apart by rulers, the lord to the south and the king to the north. Their family has never seen eye to eye, and it is people in the middle that have been suffering. Villages being raided, gold looted, and people dying. Generation after generation, the whole land in between has suffered from these two rulers. Many people have seen things, and scholars throughout the years who have written about many people that have seemed to have magical powers and eternal youth. All these types of stories are commonplace in Athenia, and these are the stories you have grown up with and now know as normal life. There is a certain way to live these days, and many who have not fallen foul of death have lived long lives, which only spurs on legends and myths about immortals. It is trying times these days and tense areas of people around. A fight can so easily break out in a bar where two people do not see eye to eye. Many drunks usually end up being kicked out and never seen again. In your hometown of Corsavid, you have known people to die because of the ale they drank. You wake up and you open your eyes. There's darkness. You move your head from left to right and see nothing but blackness. You have this awful headache and you feel like your head is being squeezed from both sides. You think to yourself that your eyes may not be working until you hear a noise in front of you. Your head is aching and slowly you sit up and begin to remember how you got where you are. Walking within a forest on the way to Port Fern, it was a dark night with a full moon, and you remember hearing a noise, a twig snapping, and when you turned your head, you were suddenly knocked to your feet. You hit your head on a rock and then you blacked out just after you saw a figure standing over you with red eyes, smiling. Sitting now in the darkness, you slowly get to your feet, but not knowing how much time has passed, you blacked out. Not knowing how much time has passed since you blacked out, you feel along the brick wall and come across shackles pinned to the wall. They are made from iron and an arm hangs from it. You feel along down the arm to the body, but it remains there limply, not moving. A sudden rush of fear overwhelms you when you realize he is dead. The rotten corpse can only be faintly smelt, meaning he died recently. Luckily you woke up when you did, otherwise you might have suffered the same fate. You stumble in the cold darkness and soon feel along to a door. You notice your hands or arms are not shackled and wonder why. You try the handle, but it is locked. You continue along the wall and soon find a corner. You begin to wonder if you're ever going to get out of here alive. And once you have felt along all the walls, you realize there is nothing in this cell that can help you. You sit down on the floor and realize this may be your final adventure. Now that's the background to the story, right? This was the first book I wrote, okay? Not the first book that was published, but this is the first one I wrote. I wrote this years ago. I've got this tin. I'll continue in the story in a second. I've got this tin, basically. Well, it's not a tin anymore. It's a Trapper Keeper. And it's got all the stories I wrote as a teenager in it. All the stories when I was like 11, 12, and 13, I kept. And when I was writing even up to, I think I stopped writing around the age of 25, I think. Maybe 26 or 28. Somewhere between 25 and 28, I basically really stopped writing and had children and stuff like that. And so, life got in the way. But I kept everything. I never threw anything away. So I've gone back to them stories now that I wrote as a kid, and these are the stories that I've been publishing. So these are written by me as a kid for kids, age 6 to 16, and it's interesting sometimes to go through what my mind was going on about. Some of the stories I've finessed a lot of them as an adult. I've gone back over them and gone, well, that don't work, and changed it a little bit, but most of the story still remains. So, you slump down onto the floor and wonder how long you can last without food and water. How long was it until your fellow captive lay his final breath into the world? Will you ever see your captors or even the daylight again? There must be a way out of here. You cannot see anything nor escape this room. You cannot see if there is anything on the floor that can help you. For what seems like hours pass by, and suddenly the inky blackness turns into a dark blue moonlight, and soon you can make out a shadow on the floor. You realize that there must be light coming from somewhere, and you look up to see a small faint light at the very top of a tiny, very long corridor of brickwork. You must be at the bottom of a tunnel or a well that you are in, with only one door as an exit. You know now that you are underground, and given the corpse sat next to you, no one knows you are here except for whoever put you here. No one is coming to your rescue, and you must rescue yourself. You are faced with two options here. Wait until daylight beams through this prison, or make an attempt to escape now. To wait until daylight, or to look for something to help you escape. Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to wait till daylight? Do you want to look for something to help you escape? Now, I think the obvious answer would be to look for something to help you escape, But for terms of time, I'm going to say, let's wait until daylight. Let's see what happens. 42. You think that maybe with more light, you can find a better way to get out. Makes sense. Sitting there, you begin to think back to where you were when you were captured, walking through the forest late at night. Even before that, you remember a village, a scared village, where the residents locked their doors before noon and never came out at night. You wonder maybe if they knew something that you didn't. Could they have foreseen the evil that captured you into this tomb of death? As you think back to the forest, you remember smelling an aroma of jasmine just before you heard the noise. It was an inviting scent that drew you into a daydream and almost paralyzed you. Sorry, that was another sentence. Almost paralyzed you into hesitating. Maybe the scent had something to do with the evil that caught you. The red eyes. You suddenly remember seeing the red eyes staring at you, deep into you slowly as you blacked out. You remember feeling an achy feeling in your neck. You suddenly grab your neck and check for puncture marks. Luckily, nothing. As the hours go by, the moonlight in the cells gets brighter and brighter. You look up to see the daylight peeking through the metal grate covering the long brick well. You look down at the floor and you can make out a faint object shape, maybe a bone. You stand up. Do you wish to use the bone and try to escape, or shout out to try and get the attention of somebody? So, obviously, we waited until daylight. Now, sometimes the obvious answer may not be like, you might think, oh, that's going to kill me. That's obvious it's going to kill me. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it actually benefits you to take a chance. And that's again, these books I'm trying to teach, youngsters to make decisions and be confident in your decision, and learn the responsibility of what that decision that you make. So, do you wish to stand up, use the bone, and try and escape, or shout out to try and get the attention of somebody? We're gonna use the bone, I think, to escape this one. So we're gonna stand up and wish, and we're gonna use the bone because we found a bone. You waste no time in jumping to your feet when you realize there is no way out. As you stand up, something grazes your feet, maybe a bone. You reach down and pick up a very thin bone. You think maybe this could be used to pick the lock. Test your luck, if you were lucky or if you were unlucky. Well, for the purposes of time, we're going to say we were unlucky on this one. So let's see what happens if we run out of luck in the crypt. You pick up the bone and feel your way to the floor. You find the lock and insert the bone into the lock. You wiggle it and turn it, but the bone snaps in the lock. Your only resolve is to hope that someone may hear your screams. Well, we've got to scream for help now. Looking up, you shout at the top of your lungs at the air above. Help! You shout for hours to see if anyone can hear you. You hear nothing. No birds singing, no noise of air, just the light getting brighter and brighter. Your voice rings out into the cell, and as the day goes on, but nothing. No one comes. You can see a rotting corpse chained to one of the walls and an iron door opposite. There was never a way you could escape. You realize that this crypt will be your tomb. You slump down exhausted and spit blood from all the screaming you have done. You want to sleep. You have no energy left and you pass out. Your eyes open, your head has fallen to the ground. Yeah, what's this? I think back to Israel and how parents... Oh man, what does that say? Man, I missed that. What did he say? All messengers are visible. There we go. I think back to Israel and how parents that rely on spreading misinformation to keep their kids staying at home end up having kids that grow up to carry the wartime... Mate, what does that mean? I think back to Israel and how parents rely on spreading misinformation to keep their kids staying at home. Immediately feel like offering the children with the sticks and automatic weapons. Mate, do one. I don't know what you're trying to... What cause you're going for there, mate. Let's, yeah. I don't know what that's all about. Right. Yeah. Okay, so your eyes open, your head has fallen to the ground, and as the night falls again, there is a noise outside the door. You regain consciousness just in time to see the door fling open and two figures enter the cell through the air and jump straight on your body, draining you of blood. You have become food for the local vampires. Your adventure is over. In Israel, parents do not want kids to throw the first blow. Mate, what you going on about, mate? Reading a book here. I mean, sounds bad, like, whatever, like, is going on there, but I really don't know what this has to do with anything, mate. Constant attacks harm the children in the streets. Mate, what's this got to do with the price of fish? I don't understand why you're telling us this stuff. Are you just spreading news? You know, is the book about Israel? No, mate. The book is a fictional story about you, as the reader, who is stuck in a crypt and must escape. Did it really make you feel like you were in Israel when listening to this? My gosh. I blame Christian zombie vampires. Mate, you're just having them laugh now, aren't you? Right, so yeah, you basically, your game is over, the book is dead. Like, you die in the book, sorry. So, you know, you have to start again and, you know, continue on. So, there are many ways to finish this book. There are many ways through this book. You know, if you know the way, it'll probably take you like a couple of hours to read this book. But if you don't know the way, you've got to find that way. And, you know, then what are you on about? Mate, I wrote this book, okay? In the book, they share the launch codes. They share the launch codes, mate. I wrote this book, okay? See, my name, right? And I'm basically reading it out. It's an adventure story where you play the part of the person in the book. And you have to make decisions within the book, right? So you'll read a paragraph, and then you're asked to make a decision, and then you have to turn to the relevant paragraph where the answer or where the continuation is the story. Is it a horror story? I like to think of it as survival horror. Well, it's got vampires in it, I think. You know, it's got a bit of zombie in it. It is kind of a horror fiction, but it's not outright horror. Although being chained to a wall from the very get-go is pretty horrific. What inspired you? I really like interactive stories. I used to read these books as a kid called The Fighting Fantasy. And that's what got me into reading. And that's what got me into writing. So now I write those types of stories. I write interactive fictional stories. So this one's called Escape from the Crypt. The one before it was called The Last Evil. And the one after this is called The Crypt of the Vampire. And there's a whole series of them. You can find them on Amazon. In fact, I just had one recently released. In fact, I don't even think the series are... Oh, yeah, it is. It's in the back. Here's a list of the books at the moment. Some of them aren't published yet, but we're working on it. Is there more than one end? Yes, they have multiple ends that lead up to the end. So there's like 2 or 3 ways you can finish this. And in fact, depending on how you finish this book, determines which book you read next, because there's a link to some of these books. If you die in this book, you are prompted sometimes to go and read and seek out this other book. And if you complete the book, I think one of the final ones, it says seek out, the sequel or something like that. So it's, interactive. But not only this, is it teaches children to think for themselves, to make their own decisions, and to know the responsibility of the decision they've made. It also teaches them numeracy, problem solving, gives them basic life lessons. That's the great thing about these books. They're aimed for like 6 to 16-year-olds, but adults enjoy reading them too. So it's they're really worth picking up. You can find them all on Amazon. Just type my name, the name of this channel, Adam J. Pestridge, into the Amazon search, and all my books will come up and you'll see them all. All right, mate? Cool. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and tomorrow will be the next video log, okay? So thanks for watching. Thanks for your interaction, mate. I really appreciate that. I love it when somebody's here to have a chat with. And tomorrow I'll go live with another video log, and maybe we won't read another book tomorrow. We'll wait till like a few days, and then we'll do another book. So anyway, take care, everyone. Bye.